Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Apple Box Chronicles. My name is Peyton Buto.
And I'm Adryon Thomas.
And today on the ABCs, we are taking you from A to Z on Minions and Monsters, the latest film in the Minions Despicable Me franchise, something we're both very passionate and excited about, as you can tell by me saying hello a little differently there today. That was a last-minute creative choice.
Yeah, we had to learn a bit of Minionese.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry to any Minions listening if I didn't pronounce that correctly. Really sorry. Didn't mean to do that. But anyway, we love these guys. I actually saw a TikTok video last night of this woman on TikTok that we both watch, who is really funny. But she was like, first Minions comes out, and we're like, I love those guys. Second Minions time passes, we're like, I fucking hate those guys. Second movie comes out, we're indifferent on those guys. Now, I don't go a day without thinking about those fucking guys.
Well, I feel like people have always kind of been against the Minions until now. I don't really know why. I mean, I've always liked the Minions, but I don't know. People just came around this time. I think it's because it's so movie centric that all the cinephiles came out and wanted to talk about it.
Well, I'll tell you, I was on the internet looking at movie reviews in the 2010s. You know, that's one of my, I guess, first exposures to a larger world in terms of movies and other perspectives, and it was not great because, you know, most of the popular people at that time, at least that I was seeing on my YouTube page and everything, was well, not to call anybody out specifically, but a lot of people that, you know, nitpick movies. A lot of the stuff we talk about on here every week about people engaging with movies in a very uncurious, very bad faith way, that, you know, cinema sins, like, you know, trying to pick things apart. And the Minions, because it was such a, like, seen as such a key jingling thing, like, it's, you know, for babies and stuff, like, nobody liked the Minions when they first came out. But honestly, if you really, in retrospect, look back, we watched all three of these movies in the same day last week.
Just the Minions, not the Despicable Me.
Just the Minions, yeah. And we uncovered some real personal truths about these movies that I love. So I'm excited to get into this. I think we both agree these are the better movies.
Yeah, well, honestly, I was never a big fan of the Despicable Me movie. Well, I've only seen the first two, but even then, I wasn't the biggest fan of those movies. But I've always liked the Minion movies over the Despicable Me movies.
I think they're more entertaining, just overall. And I think, you know, when people look at the Minions, it's like they don't speak English. They're just, like, walking around, like, you know, it's saying banana and stuff. And I'm like, you guys, the visual gags, the antics are top notch because these guys can't, you know, say English, you know, speak English. So that's one thing.
It gives the filmmakers kind of like this fun, limitation on what they're able to do and how they're able to tell a story. They do kind of cheat a bit with some narration every once in a while, but that's still
just in the first film.
Yeah. Well, we do have
oh no,
Alice
you're
and
right.
Janie.
In the new film, there. Well, I consider that more of a framing device in terms of, like, yes, there is narration, no doubt, but it's like that the narrator exists as well as a character, so it kind of makes sense. And I mean, once we get into spoilers, we can talk more about that. But
yeah. But
which is crazy that we have spoiler sections for the Minions, but I think it's worth preserving. If you haven't seen this Minions and Monsters, you should go watch it.
Yeah. Also, you don't need to really see the other Minions movies or the Despicable Me movies to really enjoy this one.
I don't think really you need to see any of them to enjoy any of them. Well, in terms of the Minions.
Well, Minions: Rise of Gru, it kind of relies on you knowing who Gru is and, like,
sure,
a bit
but
of,
even then, it's not referencing a lot of stuff that's happened in the Despicable Me movies. So
I mean, there's definitely callbacks to, like, what will later happen in those movies.
Sure,
like,
but you can, like, introduce yourself to Gru in that movie, and you'll still be able to follow it. Like, it's not going to confuse you.
Yeah.
Especially if you watched Minions 1 already, he's introduced at the end.
Yeah.
So there's
But
that.
I just feel like even for someone who's familiar with Gru, watching Minions Rise of Gru, it's just, I mean, every time you have Gru in the movie, it gets boring. And
I don't care about Gru's admiration for Wild Knuckles personally.
exactly.
I don't care about it at all. I'm trying to hang out with Bob.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, I really do think that's the weakest of the three for
Bob?
that reason. No, Minions Rise of Gru is the weakest of the three films.
Oh.
Because it just has too much
Yeah.
like subplot that doesn't involve the minions. And I mean, Despicable Me 4, the Mega Minions in that, sublime idea. Like, literally, I love those guys. But I know you haven't seen it, but that film, that whenever the Mega Minions are on screen, I'm like, oh yeah, this is such a good idea. Superhero minions, I love it. And it's only a small part of this freaking Despicable Me movie, and I'm like, God, I just want a Mega Minions movie. I want them to make that so bad.
Just a Minion superhero movie?
Yeah, have James direct it. The Minions, the Minion from this movie.
I think that'd be kind of funny because you'd be going from them doing these early films, and they even start off with a Western, and then by way of Western, they'll go into superhero movies.
Here's the thing. You could make a sequel where it's James and Henry also dealing with another Hollywood change of like, oh, now the superhero movies are the big thing.
Yeah.
But even that is a little nostalgic at this point for like last decade, the 2010s, to, you know, when superhero movies were in their prime.
Yeah.
And so you could, that's ripe for commentary with the Minions right there.
Yeah.
That you could do.
I mean, well, I guess we should kind of talk about a bit of the story, like in case anybody hasn't seen it. But this Minions is like is totally separate from the last two movies. Like, we have brand new Minions. I felt like they kind of wrote themselves into a corner with the last one. But I think that what they did to kind of course correct is to say that there's other Minion tribes out there, and then they just kind of focus on this other tribe.
That leaves it infinite room.
Yeah.
For what to do next.
And so this other tribe, there's this one Minion named James who is really like creative and likes to draw, and we eventually find out that he's like he could be really good in movies. And so we kind of follow almost in a similar fashion to Babylon, the Damien Chazelle movie. This transformation of the film industry from like silent to sound film, and like kind of the changes that the characters have to go through with the change in Hollywood, which is just kind of insane that Minions is kind of the vehicle for that story as well. But yeah. I think it works, and it's really funny.
It's Babylon for a younger audience, and it's really earnest. Like, it's really cute that I really grew attached to like James and like his wanting to make art and stuff. I just think it's so adorable, and I hope all kids identify with that and want to like create stuff.
Yeah.
But also, you have a new trio. So you have James, you have Henry, who's his friend, who's helping him make the movie, and then their friend is named Ed.
Yeah.
And he is a deaf minion, which I think is super cool. We get some deaf minion representation, sign language minionese. You know what I mean? So
I do wish they would have used. I don't know if "used" is the right word. If they were to showcase his character a bit more as being a deaf character, or have it be a part of the plot in some way. But I guess you don't really have to do that.
I mean, they had an opportunity because this movie is about sound.
Yeah, exactly.
Movies.
That's what I was thinking, because I was like, well, if he's deaf, then maybe he could do something in the silent film era where it's like they could just communicate because they don't need sound. But they don't really do that.
Yeah.
Which is fine. We still get like a cool Ed character.
Yeah, he's really cute. I like him a lot.
We also have Dick.
Dick is a stroke of genius because it's like an actual name that you can use in a kid's movie, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's short for Richard. It's Dick the
Yeah.
Minion." There's no controversy on that. But then at the same time, the reason they named him that is because he's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
Like he's the mean
really,
one.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought that was like so funny. I was like, wow, they're really going for it.
Yeah. I guess from now on, let's just dive into it.
Yeah.
And talk spoilers. So if you haven't seen the film, you should see the film. It's really fun and cute, and just come back when you're done. So I want to tell you about this theory that I have about this movie. So Allison Janney is essentially the narrator. She's going through like a film museum at the beginning. We get some fun cameos. We get the Matrix and E.T. and George Lucas is in a glass case and he voices himself.
Yeah.
Apparently George Lucas is a big fan of the Minions.
Yeah, he has the same opinion as us. He's like, yeah, Despicable Me, all right, but the Minions, great.
But we're going to circle back to that because I have more to say about that. But my theory, so I was like looking at the Allison Janney character and I was thinking, oh, okay, but she voiced a character in the first Minions as well. It's like the mom of that bank robber family, which is one of the craziest scenes in that film. And I'm looking at them and I'm like, it could just be the animation style, but they look kind of similar with different hair. And I'm thinking because at the end of this movie, it's like a film set. Like the museum is actually a film set, and they're actually making a movie about her telling the story of the Minions making movies.
Yeah.
So at the end, it's all revealed to be a movie. So I'm thinking, is it the same person, and they put a wig on her so she could play the character of the narrator in their movie? Because the Minions are friends with that character in the present day or in a certain time period.
I don't know. I feel like when you end the movie off of them making a movie about them making a movie, you kind of lose track of like what's actually happening, like who these Minions are. Like, are they really another tribe of Minionese, or are they part of the whole Minions in the ice cave at that point? Because I think they were like in that ice cave for like most of like human history, at least that one tribe. So it's kind of like this kind of full circle moment where it's like where do we start and where do we actually begin with these guys? I honestly don't believe in in that theory. I just think they hired Allison Janney again because she probably liked working with them.
I know. I just think it's
I also
fun
think
to
the one thing about the Illumination animation is that it is all very similar in like the way that the humans look. Like they all have a similar look to them.
At least in these movies.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand and I kind of agree. It's just that it's fun to think about. It's like, well, what if they just were like, hey, you're our friend, do this in our movie? I think that would have been a funny way to tie it together.
Yeah.
But it's not like something that matters or is in the movie, so I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm just curious, like, if they're gonna do anything more with these particular characters in if they are doing any upcoming Minions movies, because so far it's not looking that great at the box office.
Yeah, this one is for the art. It's not for the masses. It's not for the profit.
I mean, that's not true, but
no,
we do love it. Like it's always been good. Like there's no changing that. But
no, I know.
We'll see what happens, because I am curious where they want to take these characters next, if they are going to take these characters in another direction, because it just leaves off in this meta universe where it's like where is it all actually happening?
Well, I think in that case it's actually best that the movie kind of exists in this isolated space where it's its own story and that's it.
I wonder if they'll bring back Kevin, Bob, and Stuart, or maybe there should be like a collaboration. or Kevin Bob Stewart,
See, there we
James
go.
Henry,
And
Ed,
then that's a
and Dick.
commentary on crossovers in films, superheroes, mega minions. Exactly.
It's possible.
It becomes the Avengers.
Pure Coffin. We have an idea for you.
Yeah, I make a Mega Minions superhero movie that is being made within the movie, directed by James. Because the Minions kind of just survive forever. James could still be alive.
Yeah, they're indestructible. It's so ridiculous. I remember. Yeah, it was the first Minions movie. He's just hanging him, and he just like drops down.
That's another thing. I want to circle back to this whole they're better than the Despicable Me films, because that stuff like that, it gets kind of morbid in these movies sometimes in a comical way.
Yeah.
Like even in that movie you have this scientist guy who like cloned himself, or it's like time travel.
It's so funny.
And he accidentally kills the original version of himself and they all start disappearing, and it's like so that could be like horrifying in another context, but it's played so funny. And then they get into the car with the family, and they just pull out a Glock and they're like, we're going to rob this bank, and it's like, what the fuck is happening?
I've always kind of loved the Minions for that, because they're like this there's punk version of like Pixar, where they're like, we're not trying to be like all kid friendly and trying to have this whole emotional like arc with the characters or anything. We're just trying to be silly and weird and bizarre and violent. Exactly. Even. And I just like that it has this kind of punk aspect to it, where it's like, yeah, we're just gonna have guns in the movie.
And also that leads me to my ultimate point about the Minions being better than Despicable Me, is that, I'm sorry to say this, I know it sounds morbid, people die in these movies.
Yeah.
Like, the body count, let me just give you some stats here. The body count according to the wiki, Despicable Me, all 4 movies, 116 total. Guess how many bodies are in the very first Minions movie only?
Was it like 117?
92, bro.
92?
That's not counting The Rise of Gru, which has a lot more. It's damn near 200 overall between those two films. We don't even know how many were in this film, but we know we've seen it, so we know it's a lot. Okay, so it's like it's a landslide.
Yeah.
And that doesn't maybe in itself make them better movies, but I'm sorry, I don't care about fart guns and freeze rays, and all that stuff is really cute, that Gru is doing. But in the Minions, I feel a sense of stakes, a sense of uncertainty, a sense of shock and surprise and edge to it that I just don't feel watching Despicable Me.
Well, I think you're also able to do a lot more just crazy antics with the Minions than you can with Despicable Me. Like, the whole like train sequence in this movie is so cool and really fun, and I just don't see like Despicable Me ever really getting to that place.
I mean, I'm not even saying Gru should go around like taking people out. I think that would actually kind of mess up his character a bit. Yeah. And I get like it makes sense creatively, like what they're doing. I'm just saying this is why these movies are more exciting and entertaining to me, is that I feel like lives are on the line and anything could happen. And I'm often thinking that way, where I'm like, holy shit, they just did that in this animated kids movie. What the hell is going on?
Yeah,
like in this movie,
they like behead.
Yeah, they
like
behead a person on screen.
Yeah,
and it's played off as like, damn, not again. And I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's crazy. They keep killing the people that they're serving, and it's like, oh my god. Also, the first Minions movie, nobody talks about this, I feel like, but maybe people do. I'm not up on the Minions discourse, but like when I was watching it, I was like, they're cooking with the themes about the immigrant experience.
Oh yeah.
The metaphors here. You have the Minions, the narrators, like they were here first. And then, they travel to this foreign country. They see the Statue of Liberty like it's the brutalist, and then they're looking for work, and they don't speak the language, and nobody understands them, and they're looking for work, and then they go and work for this, upper-class woman who's a villain, and then she starts kind of speaking their language back to them, but in this, like, just mispronouncing it and, like, kind of messing it up, and it feels a little prejudiced at times, and
Yeah.
you know they're doing all the dirty work and they're the scapegoat for everything, and like I mean, just what am I seeing here? And the parallels are crazy.
Yeah. I always thought that that was really interesting that they went in that direction with the first movie, because you really need like you need to base the minions on something, and I think you know a lot of people see like immigrants as like just these other people that like just work and they help other like big companies out to do the kind of crappy shit end of the stick kind of stuff. And but the minions are great, and like they're kind of the backbone of the Despicable Me movies in a way.
Exactly. They're
And
getting shit done.
yeah, and that's why they need their own movie, because they're a lot cooler than the their boss in a sense.
It's interesting. It's almost like a reversal of the Jack Sparrow thing in Pirates of the Caribbean, where Jack Sparrow works incredibly well in those first three films as like a member of an ensemble or a supporting character, because he's so fun and so magnetic that like that's a great place for him to operate in. But then in the fourth and fifth movie, they kind of try to make him like the main character,
Yeah.
and it doesn't work quite as well. The
It
minions,
doesn't work at all. I feel like those movies just are bad because of that.
I mean, sure, I haven't seen them in a while, so I'm being a little gentler,
Yeah.
but I would probably agree. The thing is, when you reverse that with the minions, because the minions are supporting characters in Despicable Me, you put them in front and center, and it's suddenly the movie is amazing.
Yeah, I think they just rely a lot more on like visual storytelling, visual gags, and kind of the spirit of the old silent movies from with like Charlie Chaplin, Buster Keaton.
Tons of references in this movie.
Um and yeah, they I think they've always kind of used that as their background for how they operate the minions, but with this movie, I think they were just like, well, I think it's pretty obvious. Might as well just like showcase the homaging in real time with like actually going back to the silent film era.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like we're already we're already taking influence from that, so why not just put the minions in that context?
Yeah, and they also deal with a bunch of different genres, so they're not like only in that one like slapstick comedy genre. They also do like monster movie stuff. Obviously, Minions and Monsters. They're playing around with old school monster stuff. You get them kind of parodying like Citizen Kane.
That's my favorite one.
It's really funny. They and like the type of noirs would come out in like the 40s, and how they can't really work in the movie industry anymore because they can't speak English, and I think that was really really interesting, because they had to like kind of figure out how to make their own movie with their own language, I guess. And the movie that we get to see is, I guess, technically the movie that they made, and it works. Like the minions are talking minionese the entire time, and you know exactly what they're
because
talking
the
about.
visual action is driving the story forward. And I love that tweet you sent me last night that was like Josh O'Connor and Disclosure Day. It's like the minions speaking minionese. It's like, can you understand it? It's gibberish. I can't understand it. He's like, I can.
Because it's true. Like they're so good with how the minions like talk, how they talk, and their own little facial like expressions, and you just understand what they're saying, even though they're talking in several other different languages, including random gibberish mixed in there.
Yeah, a lot of people have been saying there's too much Spanish in it, and I think it's just because they say "sí" instead of "yes." Because otherwise, I don't think it's like an overabundance of Spanish.
No, they mix all types of different languages to make up the Minionese. But also, like in the first Minions movie, they were here before us, so you could kind of have this assumption that they grew up and like learned all types of different like languages through different cultures and things, and it just kind of meshed together.
Right, exactly.
So they're just like, it's just a combination of a bunch of like random words here and there that they learned through other cultures and languages.
I mean, even Gru's accent in the Despicable Me movies is a fictionalized accent based on like a bunch of European countries.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I was trying to figure it out when we were watching Rise of Gru, and I just was like, I couldn't I was like, I had to look it up, and he also used like just here and there accents from just different countries.
Yeah, because he's supposed to sound like he's trying to be the menacing villain, but like also funny. I think it works.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've never been a fan of Gru's voice, of Steve Carell just kind of putting on that voice. I don't know, it's a bit irritating to me. But I understand it. Like,
well, that's what I'm saying.
I think they're just trying to, in a way, they're trying to copy what Mike Myers was doing with Shrek, like putting on that Scottish accent. I believe it's Scottish.
I believe so, yeah.
But they didn't want to, like, because he's a bad guy, they didn't want to like circle in on any certain country, so they had to like mix it up so that they're not saying, oh, if he has a German accent, that means he's a German and Germans are all bad or something like that.
Or a German villain, you're immediately going to draw some kind of comparison. Also, some of the side characters in this movie I think are interesting. I really like the Jesse Eisenberg one. He plays Dort.
Yeah,
robot.
I think the one criticism I've been hearing is that whole side plot or B plot was maybe unnecessary, but then it kind of circles back and becomes necessary again. But I don't mind it.
Well, again, I think it is actually doing something fun, which is that you get the sense that this is like a dorky guy in a robot suit that's playing a character.
Yeah.
And that works for the whole, like, wanting to be, an artist and, like, putting on a character, they're making films in this movie. But then also you find out that he's real.
Yeah.
Like
he's a real
and
alien.
That's funny because the monsters in the movie are real monsters, and we know that, and they're trying to force them to be actors and be in the movie. So it's like almost like a juxtaposition of that.
Yeah.
And which is funny because he is actually still real at the end, but it's interesting. I don't really care for. I guess I get the function of the Zoe Deutsch character, Debbie, in the movie, because she falls in love with Dort, and then like he doesn't want to like take over humanity anymore, and he helps at the end.
Yeah. I also think it's kind of playing on the fact that this is around the time of like the women's suffrage and like right to vote and all that stuff happening. And she was able to find Dort, who was... I don't remember what they were saying, but they were basically saying that he was like, oh, you listen to me, and you're sensitive, and you treat me like a real human, and like all that stuff. And I think it is trying to say that if, like, just be a nice guy, and like, even if you're weird, like, at least you're respectable, and like you're I don't know. You're given a better chance in this world than if you're just
an not
evil
a human
mean
man.
Yeah,
he's
that's the joke. I think a little bit, but I think it's also just showcasing like he could be potentially like another evil being, but like he's not.
Yeah,
because
he learns
given
like
a
compassion
chance.
and all that stuff, and it's good. And he becomes an activist
because
because he wants to follow her. Which, I mean, that definitely we see that in a lot of movies and a lot of examples in real life, and I think it works because it's like we're watching this guy. That's one of the things where you'd really assume he's just a dorky guy in a suit, but he's not. and so
Yeah.
I think it's just a fun like twist on the whole thing.
Yeah, they really try to like convince you that he's not by like going into his apartment and he's like
Yeah.
he has like Floyd as his roommate and he's just chilling and he has to go into the bathroom to talk and to like communicate with I guess the ship or something.
Yeah, but you think he's just using the bathroom,
Yeah.
which maybe he also is doing that.
He also has like a bad relationship with his landlord.
Yeah,
Even though he's like really nice to her, he like gives her muffins and everything.
yeah, it's all really cute stuff.
Yeah.
There's also the Trey Parker monster character, who I
Yeah.
think is just great casting,
Goomy.
and I just think he's so fun.
Yeah, the thing with Trey Parker though is that I always know it's Trey Parker. Like
Of course,
there's like you could definitely hear South Park coming out of.
that's why I
Goomy's
like
mouth.
it though.
That's kind of why I didn't like.
That's interesting because I really liked it because like I can totally hear like Eric Cartman out of it.
That's
and I'm
kind of
just
it.
like,
Just
and
takes
he's
me
like
out.
he's
when,
scheming, and I find that really funny because it's a similar in a children's context. It's a similar sort of scheme that maybe Eric Cartman would do, but like made to a kids movie, of course.
yeah.
I
mean,
and I just think it works.
I thought the character was like funny and cute in all the proper and right ways. I don't know. I'm so used to and I guess a little tired of just hearing Trey Parker's like like there is no range in his voice and I just find that kind of like annoying.
You have to like edit his voice to get the different effects. I like how maybe the implication is that a real monster is just a bad producer.
Like the Bright Brothers?
Well, sort of, but more like
Oh, you mean like
more like
Goomy is like trying to help him out.
he's trying to help them make their movie and get people involved in their movie, but really he's just doing it for his own, profit basically. It's like he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll get monsters for your movie." And he's like, "We're totally going to fucking eat these guys. We're totally going to take over the world. This is all about us. It's not, I don't care about this art." Like I just think that's funny because they get this guy to help them make their movie, and he's just totally backstabbing them.
Yeah, I thought that was like pretty interesting, like twist within the movie itself. Because in the trailer, they definitely make him seem a little bit more evil than he tries to come off in the movie. Like even in the trailer, I don't even remember hearing this in the movie itself, but they're like touching him, they're like blinking his head, and he's like, "Get off of me, you big weirdo!" Like he never says that in the movie.
Interesting.
You don't remember that? Like
I sort of remember that. I didn't.
I've heard the
that many
trailer
times.
so many times working.
I mean, I have too, but I didn't really zone in like that.
But yeah, I remember. I always remembered him saying like, "Get off of me, you big weirdo," and he never says that in the movie. So I think they might have like edited something out, or maybe I don't know. Maybe they had a different role for the character, and they swapped it at some point.
You also do have Jeff Bridges and Christoph Waltz in the movie.
Yeah,
and I think they're great. Jeff Bridges plays twin studio executives.
yeah. It's like one really mean one and one really nice one.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
I think it works so well. When he walks in and he's introducing sound, he's like, "It's the future of cinema," and it's just a hilarious moment.
It's too bad that he's like using AI and stuff and promoting that.
Oh, for real? God
Yeah.
damn it.
Yeah, you didn't
Always.
see that one. He did like an interview where he's making like AI music.
I didn't see that. That's
Yeah.
awful. But I like how in the movie he plays two studio executives, and they're like huge guys, and the director, played by Christoph Waltz,
He's
is like
just,
a
like,
really
right in the middle.
tiny guy, and he's like constantly getting smushed in between them. I feel like that's almost a visual metaphor.
Yeah,
for,
for like
film
this
industry.
the studio just getting
Yeah,
in on the
exactly.
filmmaker.
I think that's so smart. Like
Yeah.
they're doing stuff with the characters physically that it just tells a bit of a story in its own way. And the Minions hijack one of the scenes that Christoph Waltz's character is filming, and then they're like, he has to show them the scene, and then he's like, "Who are these guys? It's brilliant. They need to be in every frame of the movie." And I just think that itself is also a joke about how like the minions are so popular that
Yeah.
they're just like, whoever these little fucking guys are, we need to put them in everything.
Yeah, it's very very meta in a way.
Yeah, it's just so much meta stuff
Yeah.
throughout this whole movie about not just filmmaking, not just film references, but the Minions movie specifically. And I mean, it's all movie within a movie stuff.
Yeah.
It's just constantly playing these games, and I love it.
I like the
It's super
fake
entertaining.
movies that they come up with for their silent movie era, where it's like, the like chainsaws and
Oh,
like,
barbarians with chainsaws.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or-
that was super fun.
or don't like look behind you and like 2 feet down or something like that, or like the zombie
yeah,
one.
all of those are really funny.
It kind of reminds me of like a Quentin Tarantino like history revisionist thing going on, where he's just changing the history of like what has happened to make the characters work.
Yeah. Also, I can't recall if this was in maybe because I watched them all together. Was this I think maybe in the first Minions movie or this one? Because there was a scene where a minion was getting chased and they hide in the phone booth, and there's like already a guy with a chainsaw in the phone booth.
Oh,
I think that was the first
that
one.
was I
When
believe.
Kevin's running through the street.
Yes,
But
I believe so.
that's just hilarious to me.
Yeah.
Like they do stuff like that all the time. I don't know if you guys have seen I Saw the Devil, but I'm not going to spoil it. But there's basically a scene in I Saw the Devil that I think is like top 3 most brilliant creative decisions I've ever seen in my fucking life. I'm not even kidding. And there's like it's the type of thing like the minions get picked up by this family in the first one, and the family's going to rob a bank.
Yeah.
It's that sort of like just dramatic shift, and I just think that stuff happens in the Minions all the time, where it's like, what's the fucking craziest thing that could happen in this situation? And it doesn't matter if it's like likely or not. It's just, this is what's happening.
I mean, I love the train sequence because they're just like going in between people. They're like going
especially
on the
in the
one,
40X.
Yeah, it's so fun and cool. There's like almost a Michael Bay aspect to it, where you go down, you see him as the train passes by. It's really, really neat. And I mean, even in the first Minions movie, when Kevin becomes like super big, it's almost like this Godzilla moment.
Yeah.
they're just doing so many like fun, crazy stuff. Well, I think the best part about Rise of Gru is when they're like learning kung fu and they're like training.
That's one of the best parts. I would say the plane sequence is great in that one, where they're piloting the plane.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the kung fu stuff is actually really fun.
Yeah, I just wish it was like more of the movie was that instead
Yeah.
of focusing on Gru. I just take Gru out of it. Just take Gru out of it, and we got a good movie.
I don't fucking care. Which is so. I mean, we're not trying to be Gru-phobic here, but
Yeah. Well,
it's
with
just not as good entertainment.
Rise of Gru, again with the end of the first movie, I felt like they just kind of put themselves in a corner because they're like, well, now we have to address that there's a young Gru in this time period, and this is how they meet, and now we have to showcase like how they get together and like what their lives look like in the 60s, late 60s, early 70s.
Yeah.
And they didn't need to do that. They just needed to make another movie in which the Minions are doing Minion stuff.
Or like another tribe of minions out there.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think they're realizing with this new film is like, oh, there can just be tribes of minions all over the world and all throughout different time periods, and we could literally just tell minion stories of... We would put the minions into... I mean, it's kind of like what Jeff Bridges is saying in the movie. It's like, put the minions in everything. put them in every context imaginable.
What would the next... That's why I'm so curious what a next Minions would look like, because they could really do anything at
You
this
could just
point.
have a wheel of like historical time period events and just spin it and be like, okay, now the minions are going to be...
I mean, they've touched on quite a few, like the Egyptians in the first movie, They had a pirate in this movie and a wizard.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. There's a lot you could do though.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of shit has happened in the world, and I would love to see how the Minions would have handled a lot of it.
Yeah.
Eventually, they're just gonna have to make a rated R Minions movie.
Well, the director has said that the Minions have not worked for Hitler.
That's been a burning question, definitely, amongst the fandom. I'm interested to know how they avoided that.
Well, I also think that the Despicable Me universe is just in another universe, like where there's similar things that have happened, but it's obviously like in a different reality. Like you have freeze guns and like all this like weird technology.
But it was all invented like by Gru and all these people. So like,
well, yeah, but like the Vicious Six or something.
Yeah, but listen, the Vicious Six has a character named Nunchucks, so we know religion exists.
Yes.
Religion exists in the Minions universe, so where can we go with that?
Are you saying you want a religious Minions movie?
I don't know. What if a Minion questions their faith? What if we
Minions go to hell?
No. Kevin and Bob's Bogus Journey?
Yeah, they go to hell and they're like with the devil, and the devil's like, you guys
are awesome, actually. I'm glad you guys are here. I could get a lot of stuff done.
But yeah, I don't, because they do reference a lot of like stuff that has happened, but they also like do things that obviously haven't happened. So to me, it's just obviously in another universe. So you don't have to have him with Hitler, and even if Hitler was real, you could just write him out of it. But like the director said, they were still in the cave at that point.
Here's my thing. I think what it is like real world villains and like, you know, those kind of figures. There is a reason that a lot of them die in little Minion gag montages, and the villains that we follow in the story are usually, well, like villains in Despicable Me are nerds. They're just like dorky people that love being villains and they want to be the best villain. Like there's a villain Khan, you know what I mean? And look at Dort. He's like, you know, he's a villain and he wants to take over the world, but he's also kind of a dorky guy, and he's kind of endearing in that way.
Not all the villains. Like in Rise of Gru, like a few of them are like there's a cool like black
but it's like a little
and
club, like, you know what I mean? It's not. I don't think it's that. They're not that like.
Well, I don't know if it's a club. I think it's like any, in a way, like fan base or something.
Yeah,
where like
yeah,
you
yeah,
have the real villains of the world, and then just other people trying to be like those villains.
So they're like celebrities.
Yeah.
Sort of, yeah. But I'm saying like that's there's fandomness to it. And I think that's interesting.
Well, I also think the Minions are great because it kind of shows in a way how just how stupid the whole villain thing is, and how you need minions to like operate your evil plans, but your evil plans aren't going to work because the people that you surround yourself with in terms of minions are all idiots. Like they're stupid. Like, and that like relates to the real world and how all the villains that we see in today's reality are like they're surrounded by idiots. Like the people that support them are like stupid. And I think that is kind of like saying a little bit of something there.
It's possible, but also, why are the Minions so fucking goated then? You know what I mean?
Well, like, that's the thing. I think it's trying to say that you don't need to follow these big people, these big villainous
yeah, I see what
things.
You're saying.
You could be your own.
You're right. That's
person.
Why,
like
yeah.
James could direct his own movie. He doesn't need to like be under someone's control or like work for some big villain person. He could do what he wants, which is to make movies.
So the movie is really about the movies in general have really arrived at this conclusion of identity and how it emerges over conforming and following
Yeah.
one person. You know, it's like
And I think that's like a good case for even people today who like really want to follow the villains of today, like Elon Musk or like Andrew Tate or even Donald Trump. Like, don't worry about those guys. They don't care about you. You're just a minion to them, and you're just doing their bidding. Do your own thing.
make
like,
a movie,
make your own stuff. Do
draw.
your own thing. Like, you don't have to dedicate your whole life to these awful people that don't care about you.
We're getting deep here. You're
Yeah.
cooking with something. I mean, really, I think, yeah, I that's why I like this one. I think it's because it really does show like how the minions are distinct and they're creative, and they can do their own thing. That's not for anyone else except for fulfilling an inner desire for expression. You
Yeah.
know? And I think that's a great shift from, the tried and true, like, oh, they're looking for a bad guy to serve,
Yeah.
It's like, what if one minion was just so drawn to art that he didn't want to do that?
Yeah.
I think that's really cute and very good, because it's like, yeah, don't just do what everybody else is doing or tells you need to do, or don't be the person that everybody says you need to be. Just like express yourself through art, and the people that support you and collaborate with you, those are like the truest friends you're gonna have.
Yeah. The Minions, man. Brilliant stuff.
Yeah.
Pierre Coffin, Brian Lynch. You guys know what's up. It is also interesting that the first movie was directed by Pierre Coffin and Kyle Balda. And then the second movie was just Kyle Balda. And then this movie is just Pierre Coffin. I don't know if it's Coffin or because I believe he's French.
Yeah.
But
it is interesting that they did it like that. They're like, okay, we'll do one together, then you do one, then I do one. And I'm sorry, I think Pierre might be
I think
the superior director.
he is also the voice of every single minion.
Yeah, but I also think Kyle is really good because, like as much as we've said Rise of Gru is the weakest one, I don't think it has to do with Kyle Balda being a lesser director. I think it just has to do with the fact that, like you said, they wrote themselves into that situation.
Yeah.
They had to tell that story, and it's just less interesting to us. But also, Kyle Balda directed The Sheep Detectives this year, which is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's definitely, like, it's not a competition necessarily.
If I will say, I do think that Rise of Gru might be the best looking Minions movie.
It does look really good.
Not to say that this one isn't also looking really good, but I think there's a certain like crispness to the Rise of Gru that I just really liked, and it does have. I don't know. We also saw it on like 4K.
Yeah, but we saw this one in the theater.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be any worse.
This movie, there's something about the way that this movie looks. Like they're putting some kind of filter on it to make it look a little bit, maybe grainier or like a little out of focus, like in the distance a bit, where there's like some sort of like film or sheen over it. That
could be intentional.
I think it could be. I think they're maybe trying to look like a movie that could have come out like earlier, or they're just trying to add grain to an animated feature, which is kind of weird and hard to do. But again, with the Rise of Gru, there's just something so like sparkly about it and cool looking, and they do have a lot of fun with like changing up the style of the look because it also looks very different from the first movie in my opinion. The first movie kind of looks more like a Despicable Me movie, and then it kind of evolves to have its own look and style with each new Minions movie. Because I think this movie also looks like very different from a Despicable Me movie. Also, the soundtrack for Rise of Gru is amazing.
Oh yeah, the soundtrack in
Incredible.
all of these is pretty solid, but that one in particular has some amazing needle drops in it.
Yeah, for Minions and Monsters, the soundtrack. Well, there isn't quite a big soundtrack for it. It's mostly like composition from John Powell,
Hmm.
and that's the first Despicable Me, and Minions movie that hasn't been done by Heitor Pereira. Well, I gotta look this up, but I believe he's a Brazilian composer who's worked in the industry for a bit. He's worked on like quite a few Illumination movies. Yeah, Heitor Pereira, Pereira.
I'm just trying to picture that. I can't.
Yeah, it's
But apologies for
yeah.
that.
I'm very bad at names, so. But I thought he was really good with the other movies. I am curious why they went with John Powell with this movie though. Who's also really good and like kind of bringing that old classic Hollywood style come to life. They also reference a lot of other movies with the score, like they play the Casablanca, like da 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 da.
Yeah.
Play it again, Sam. And again, we see other nods to like Citizen Kane and westerns and all that great stuff. There's this if you watch the credits at the end, there's this great like song or part of the soundtrack in which it's this vocal, like this very high pitched vocal singing, and it's really beautiful and great until the very end when they reach to a certain, they're holding on a note so long, and then you find out that it's a minion singing the entire time.
Oh, that's cute.
It's really funny. There's no like end credit scene, but that's kind of like a little Easter egg of an end credit.
Yeah,
thing.
there's like a little bit there's like these interjected like little bits in the credits, with Gru and with like the spell book and stuff. So it's cute. It's got stuff there. Also, I just love how it says directed by James first.
Yeah.
At the end, and
then produced by Henry and Ed.
Yeah, that's just so adorable.
Yeah,
I love that. But yeah, that's I think everything I have to
I think,
touch on.
I think we've mentioned everything that I wanted to talk about too.
Cool. So to wrap this up, I'm gonna give final ratings on these three movies. I'm not gonna rate or rank the Despicable Me because I would need to rewatch them all.
Yeah.
But I would give Minions 1 because they were cooking with the subtext. I'm gonna give that a 4. And remember, these, like, you might be like, oh, Minions 4 stars, that's too high, but it's like these are relative to like the film's actual goals, right?
Yeah.
So we have to look at what the film's actually trying to do. It's not like I'm trying to say that Minions is better than any movie I've rated lower.
Yeah, it's also subjective.
Oh, of course, it's fully subjective, but I'm just trying to paint a picture of where I'm coming from with this.
Yeah.
So I would give Minions a 4. I think that's a great one. I give Rise of Gru a 3-star because it is solid. It's got a good soundtrack. It's got some fun. I just think, again, it's dragged down by the Gru stuff. We both agree on that. And then I would also give Minions and Monsters a 4. So I would rank them Rise of Gru and then Minions, and I would say Minions and Monsters is probably the best one.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty much the rankings the same for me. For the first Minions, I'm between 4 and 3.5. It really depends on like how I feel about it. like on certain moments because I do really like it, but the Minions and Monsters is also just so good. So, for Minions and Monsters, that's like a solid 4 for me. So just right above the first Minions movie, and the same. I have the same opinion for Rise of Gru that you have. Where solid, it's a solid Minions movie. It's just like there's a bit too much Gru,
Yeah.
and it just kind of takes away a bit from like what a Minions movie should be. I feel like. Any questions for the audience?
I have a couple. I was just gonna ask, what is the best Minions and Despicable Me movie to you? Like overall, the whole franchise. And then my other question is, who is your favorite Minion character?
Dang it, that was gonna be my question too.
You had the same 2 questions?
Well, I had the question about who's your favorite Minions
Oh,
character?
okay. Well, I think it's tough because they're just all great.
Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of Ed in this movie, and I'm also kind of a huge fan of Dick. Unfortunately, I just think that's so funny.
He's a fun one.
But the OG trio, I think Bob is the GOAT.
Bob is
Yeah.
great.
So
I do.
any of those guys.
I've always been a fan of Bob. I always thought he was so cute, and he was just like a little baby.
I like the Minion in this movie that like gets his head bashed in, and for like the rest of the movie.
Greg?
Yeah, for the rest of the movie,
He's just
got like no mouth.
That is true. Yeah, for the at least for this one, it's hard to pick because I do love James and I do relate with Henry, and I'm kind of a mix of both. I feel like in certain aspects. I don't know. I think I have to go James.
Yeah.
With this one, with this group of minions here.
Yeah, definitely.
But I do like Ed. He's the camera guy. He's just the guy always. He's the one that saves the movie
Yeah.
in the end.
Yeah,
in a way.
for sure. I mean, James is, I think, a top tier minion. Just like having a minion that is that creative and driven
Yeah.
is rather beautiful.
I also just love Henry and James is like how friendly, like how good of friends they are. Like some might even say they're lovers. Who knows?
Honestly,
But
I'm so down for that interpretation. I think it's
I'm
perfect.
too. I'm like, yeah, they love each other and they were sleeping with each other all the time.
It's beautiful.
It's a great little buddy moments that they got. But yeah, I don't really have another question for the audience.
That's okay.
I think I really just had that one in mind, and I was like, who's my favorite minion?
Yeah, it's hard to pick though. All right, well, that about wraps this episode up. If there's anything else you want to add.
No.
Okay, well, be sure to follow us. Be sure to rate the podcast. Be sure to follow us on other platforms. If you're on YouTube, go to Spotify. If you're on Spotify, check us out on YouTube. You'll get the visual experience, which is, I mean, we're working on it.
Yeah.
And yeah, beyond that, be sure to leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. Answer those questions, and let us know what we should talk about next. What you want to see us break down. But with all that out of the way, I've been Peyton.
And I've been Adryon.
And we'll see you next time on the Apple Box.